studies in the English department at UGA and is the author of 2 chapbooks, Carbon and Olympia Street. And our second reader will be Heidi Lynn Staples. And she's a poet, editor, and community arts organizer, and is the author of 3 full-length collections of poetry, Guess Him Gallop, Dog Girl, and the forthcoming Adieu, 2005 to 2013, which is drawn from the ecology of her native Gulf Coast. She's also the author of a chapbook, Take Care, Fake Bear, Short Cake.
I like the idea of being basically dirt. I find it very comforting. I don't know if that's something that I share with a lot of people, but there's something about being made of the same sort of just dirt and goo as a tree that makes me really happy. This first poem is one of the poems that it doesn't refer directly to carbon, but there's sort of an oblique reference to carbon dioxide in this poem and a more direct one in the next one. The first one is it's an ekphrastic poem about global warming, and it's a weird kind of ekphrastic poem because it describes a painting, but it doesn't describe the painting that inspired the poem. It describes a painting that doesn't exist, which is kind of it's in my head. I'll describe it for you. It's kind of a 19th century version of the fisherman on the Gordon's fish sticks box. Well, he's described in here. He's very cold. And he might be rowing, sometimes he's rowing a boat and sometimes he's not. It was actually, it was inspired by by an actual painting that's in the New Orleans Museum of Art. Can't remember the title of the painting, but it's by a painter named Odd Mirabel. It's a really beautiful painting of a group of people who appear to have gathered after some sort of terrible cataclysm around a pool of water, and they're just kind of staring very sadly and blankly into the water. Anyway, this is called The Gods of Chemistry. Roll, stumbling fishermen. The atmosphere is turning on the ice. The fish, red, swollen with rot. The sea is an ambulance, disappearing. Man with wooden oars, face bright with coal, stretched on a canvas, lost in a geologic flicker. His eyes hang a moment on the wall, and the verge of the sea shifts a dozen miles inland, and everything is as it was before, when no arms rode and no ears stung, and all gods were the god of chemistry. And this one is called Carbon Dioxide. This is one of the poems that I wrote immediately following Hurricane Katrina, probably the first couple months of 2006. And so I'm just kind of thinking about the relationship between the urban New Orleans landscape around me and nature and the human causes of climate disruption, of the increase in violent storms and the like. There's a lot of that in this poem, as well as little bits of the landscape. And because all of the poems that I'm reading tonight are about the sky in some way or another. The next one will be about the sky in a different flavor. This one and the next one, they have mentions of looking up to the sky as a kind of escape, which, well, it's not really, in my opinion, a very good escape. Escaping is not really what we should be doing. Anyway, carbon dioxide. Take a sip of water first. Carbon dioxide. Till there is nothing left but sticks around a chimney and the end comes, unaware of its beginning, its urging. The names of those who came before, in wild hats red with a feather, or simple caps or metal helmets. These are the names. Go to any graveyard. The names could be copied into the poem right here. Above the sky, Everything is dark, and there is no street clogged with the rawest water, no thought dropping endlessly away. At home in this world, even a song from a tin clarinet and plastic tambourine is better than silence. Light brushes the mercury, the ash, the other remnants or evidence of heat. Or was there love in abandonment, in generous portion, in the wild palm tree, naked in the wind? An hour strips the leaves and flowers of 1,000 stronger trees. Beneath is a garden, a purposeful garden, a hand touched, as everything is, with dirt. So now to the beginning. Above the sky, everything is dark, and there is no sorrow. The long-aged dead before the first flower, the simple alluvial soils mingling with sand, the toes wriggling about, and eventually the spark, turning in the engine, the thick steel gliding around the streets, and the Gulf of Mexico's waters lending its heat to the air. And the next poem actually does one of the things that Jeff's manifesto told us to do. So it's a science fiction poem. I think I had a time machine. I went forward in time to hear his manifesto and then wrote this poem 3 years ago. That was really good. This is called 10 Most Dangerous Places in Space. And that would come from television. That was the name of one of those ridiculous Discovery Channel shows. I don't know if it was exactly that. It was something like that. But my thought on that is, isn't all of space dangerous? There's no goddamn air. But the premise of this poem is that there's no air on the Earth, and that great ships are being built to take people to an elliptical galaxy in the constellation Virgo, which is Messier Object 89. This is from a series of 89-line poems, so I looked up 89 on Wikipedia, and I found this galaxy in there. And also, there was a phrase on Wikipedia that, well, it said, 89 is the number between 88 and 90. No shit, Sherlock. It said that for a couple days, and then we got it. So that's our always useful and accurate source of information. Anyway, so everyone's leaving the Earth because the Earth is all used up. 10 most dangerous places in space. We will never meet in quiet, in footprints on another globe. We will never meet again. Yet I speak, assuming you are here, seated in bright metal, a tangle of solar currents and a voice. It achieves an angle, exactly, to lift us from sight. Earth is naked, oceans, dry sand, an empty room. So now, toward great cities of the air, or its absence, flight organized around a streak of color. We paint flags into the night sky. We cover everything in cold syllables, blind we move from source to terminus in strange atmosphere. It does not make noise. We stare in silence. I will be alone on the earth as you pass over. I will call you by your right name, to invent, to step through into that field, a bright light leaping into your hands. When all is done, we insinuate ourselves into the grace of hydrogen. We spread out horizontally until we touch side to side, and I loved you, and everyone loved you. Yet you went unnoticed into the dark. Men opened their windows, and women opened their windows. Dizzy, they gasp for breath. Our planet is a word held to stone by the ordering of its molecules. The empire of the Mississippi, a vacuum. Empires of the Niger and the Rhine. I want to hold my breath all morning in the round noise of the world. A poorly photographed scene, night, watchman, newspaper spread between his hands as I climbed the narrow ladder with difficulty, a rhetoric without oxygen, my body before you in a shiny metal suit. The extinguished houses wave as I pass over. Their dimming windows retreat into sharpness, a mockery of rooms, metal and white, shine, unable to move my arms. All phenomena behind me, the world, and beneath my feet, the jealous world, as if any color were blue, written here, conducted through our bodies. The feathers stick to my shoulders. Something opens and I cross through. The river is deep because there is so much water in it. There is no more river. In geometry, shivering, echoes of past structures molded in white plastic. A continuous montage of flying birds projected on the wall behind me. In the glow are engines that ask too much of breath, swept clean. Imitations of Roman arches, beyond which float, in isolation, spheres of elegant gas, and the greatest distance imaginable. The moon is no longer the moon. To be naked is to know where I am, to inhabit the cells of your body folded away for me to carry into celestial streams of dust. I have always loved you for your smile, trace of paper, an ellipse in the constellation Virgo. Light only of dying stars, our trajectory swept clean in sleep without magnetism to sway the ocean or any current at all. I gathered these things to myself in simple language: house, tree, earth, sky, bird, particles, bend. It was not an eternity. Eternity vanished into thoughtless motion. We are the passengers of that sound. If you had said, we dare not put this boat to sea, stars cut from the dark like paper dolls, a glass to look through, but no atmosphere. Thank you.
Enclosure. There once were lanes in nature's freedom dropped. There once were paths that every valley wound. Enclosure came, and every path was stopped. Each tyrant fixed his sign where paths were found, to hint a trespass now who crossed the ground. Justice is made to speak as they command. The high road now must be each stinted bound. Enclosure, thou art cursed upon the land, and tasteless was the wretch who thy existence planned. O England, boasted land of liberty, with strangers still thou mayest thy title own, with thy poor slaves the alteration see. With many a loss to them, the truth is known. Like immigrating bird, thy freedom's flown, while mongrel clowns, low as their rooting plow, disdain thy laws to put in force their own. And every village owns its tyrants now, and parish slaves must live as parish kings allow. Ye fields, ye scenes so dear to Lubin's eyes, ye meadow blooms, ye pasture flowers, farewell. Ye banished trees, you make me deeply sigh. Enclosure came, and all your glories fell. E'en the old oak that crowned her rifled dell, whose age had made it sacred to view, no long was left his children's fate to tell. Where ignorance and wealth their course pursue, each tree must tumble down. Old leaf-close oak, adieu. Lubin beheld it all, and deeply pained along the pale road would muse and sigh, the only path that freedom's rights maintained. The naked scenes drew pity from his eye. Tears dropped to memory of delights gone by, the haunts of freedom. Cowherds' wattled bower, and shepherds' huts, and trees that towered high, and spreading thorns that turned to summer shower, all captives lost, and fast to sad oppression's power. The sons of England, we are surely west. Her body
descent church that grows on a neighboring hill. His body rose in the dark and kissed toward the voice that owes him the best of the big, big sky. A charm on his smallest interior voice and a map can harm the least current of air. Fouled by the strong arm, the man knows his single talent, makes a start toward the remote, sweet social heart, the tart, unfriended, martyred gore of her, bless his art. Till the decent church is tall in dreams, will spare down the natives blazed as a frontier, pare the am I to be blamed, you are, you son of a battle, your tyrant reigns, remote the dance and the ancestral ends. I'm going to read a poem entitled Florida Native, and it takes text, it uses a substitution procedure and uses material from several sources. One source is a passage from the diaries of George Percy. Another source is a passage from Francisco Pereira's 1916 Confessionario. It's a documentary source for Timucuan ethnography, and another source are my high school yearbooks. And the Confessionario was, there were questions in a guidebook for converting the Timucuan Indians who inhabited much of what is now Florida and Georgia. Florida native. Question, so you were born in Tennessee? Answer, no, Florida. Question, so you're a Florida native. Is my Florida native trembling? A sign that something bad is Florida native to me. That they are saying Florida native about me. That Florida native will take a liking to Florida nation. And thus with someone did Florida notion go, Florida's known shone to the night. And in Florida now's sheen to eat and drink, did rouse heat make. Have Florida native gone, flowers idea native, with desire for flowing here's day native? Have you said suggestive? Did you kiss flowing's air is day native? By chance, have you had flooding hers, eyes sway, knowledges, her house singing native? And shooting out their brains in the water, a part of your baptism, and I love my mission. Go get the Mormon boys, the church is true. That will stay in your heart forever. Good luck with all you do, and wherever you go, almost positive you will do fine. Never forget the twinkle in your eyes. Goodbye, Heidi, I love you. P.S. Write me sometime. Someone to count on. Who am I? Where did I come from? How long have I got? For your smile and good nature, a true sweetie. A really wonderful time in 7th period. Stay unique. Maybe you won't want to marry me anymore. Doesn't it feel good? It feels good to me. I guess no more skipping is in order. A chick that'll say fuck it every now and again. Time to start taking it serious. Done quite a bit together. Having a good time doing it too. Last year was killer, along with going to Henderson Beach Park instead of school. We did get fried that day. Oh, I'm out of here, thank God. Believe it or not, Neil Young just came on TK 101. Well, that's all for now. P.S. Don't take no resistance. Hey, baby doll. There was a lot of things I did. We are so different. It's hilarious. I'm glad you were there. F-U-T. I really feel awful about what happened to us. Hopeful, elusive, imbroglio, disorder, important. Thanks. I love you too. There's Nico's home. I write like shit. Keep writing in your diary journal. I'm not, but life goes on. I hope you get what you want out of life. Have you believed that when the blue jay Florida native, another bird sings, and the Florida native is trembling, that it is a signal? That people are Florida native, or that Florida native important is Florida native to happen? When Florida native woman has given birth, have Florida native avoided coming near the fire? Have Florida native considered this sinning? In the clearing, Florida native field of maize, when lightning strikes them, have Florida native considered it a sin? Florida native eat it. Florida native advise that no Florida native else eats it, considering it a sin? Have Florida native prayed to the new maize? In what way, Florida native, with which herb did you, Florida native, this? When the fireplace pops, have Florida native said this is a sign of war? Is my Florida native trembling a sign that something bad is Florida native to me, that they are saying Florida native about me? Florida native that there is going Florida native be food. Belching, have Florida native said that this is a sign that I want to die? Florida native that there will be much food. Florida native that head with bear grease. Have you, Florida native, it is sin to eat fish? Florida native, a certain number of Florida native. Have you eaten Florida native or dirt? Florida native bits of Florida native or fleas, Florida native lice. Your husband having left Florida native, did Florida native bathe with certain herbs, believing that with this he will return to Florida native? And thus perfuming, have Florida native put on the dress skirt? Have Florida native fasted with this intention, that Florida native will take a liking to Florida native? And thus, with someone, did Florida native go, Florida native to the night, and in Florida native to eat and drink? Did Florida native make the ceremony? Have Florida native gone, Florida native, with desire for Florida native? Have you said suggestive Florida native? Did you kiss Florida native? Have you taken Florida native herb, so that Florida native would Florida native become pregnant? Being pregnant, have Florida native killed the unborn child? Florida native wished to kill it by taking Florida native drink, or striking Florida native, or squeezing Florida native belly to Florida native it as you used Florida native do? Have Florida native had intercourse with father and Florida native? Have someone that has had Florida native younger sister had a duet with Florida native? By chance, have you had Florida native as if you were a man? Are Florida native a doctor? Did Florida native cure someone badly, Florida native, so that he, Florida native, call you back and give Florida native some Florida native pay in order that they pay Florida native? Have you said, if Florida native don't give me Florida native, the sickness that you have will return? Have Florida native cured anyone with a Florida native of Florida native? Not because Florida native, but because you are angry? Have Florida native ordered that Florida native be punished by having his arm broken? Have Florida native taken an herb to run faster than the Florida native in order Florida native take the bet or the prize that they put up? Have Florida native taken a woman, Florida native her house, by singing Florida native charms? Did the spell work? Because Florida native come Florida native dance. Have you Florida native that Florida native woman be Florida native, or that the penalty be taken Florida native her? Thundering, have you Florida native toward the heavens, and Florida native to Florida native the clouds, Florida native water with your evil prayers? Sleeping Florida native in a bed or taking a bath, have Florida native touched Florida native sexual organs, saying that in this manner Florida native will do it, and etc.? Have Florida native had intercourse with Florida native man? Or have Florida native gone Florida native, trying out Florida native, in order Florida native do that as Florida native been investigating your Florida native behind? Being sick or in Florida native great distress, have you Florida native wished to die? Have Florida native desired that the chief die in order Florida native become his heir? Are Florida native sorry, Florida native not having changed Florida native life before Florida native, and being so late in Florida native this? Have you believed that Florida native dreams will come true? Any brother motive is a bell to. It's a be you too foul night sky. It's those say him stares, sparring, killing. He sees the gorge lust space of men. A life given for his, a POW her full for his. It's her fall that the is happened. It's poor, raise, pa, a bell, a it, a ye. She is Eve, Ray, thing. She is Ray, spawn, civil, they, for. His theory of Eve, full, loot, shun. It's too rude. He has spent men ye nights, down on his knees, praying to his fault her in having. Our fair there who barters the women, gallowed be the dame, fair thou art the king, doom and the gory. She makes him spill, wide awake, it's reeling, something, space shuttle. Song of my mother. Supermarkets, parcel, sands, and heat, or tomorrow can we eat what we give you? Non-oxynol 9s perform their surgeries on gardens who forget to digress in the service of sod and tree. The receptacle leads to father who has grown smolder, forgotten the song. Misses the birds learning him something. Yell or becomes the sea, sand the sunlit, we'll see. Hey, yeah? Like 3 more poems. Yeah. 6 minutes? Okay. Mother with only her memory, her lust trust here, or yesterday, where is your dialect? Take this omen to be your awful what if. Husband, will we stroll drowning, watching expelled Jean or a shun? She has suffered root spills and liege suns, stars rankled, ban her! So 3 more. Which one is which from a lynching? As if he'd been waiting for her, she was wearing high heels and many erts. Her air flowed down past her ass, till he flipped the hair off her shoulders, and that drove him, why old? Till he wanted to know everything. Tilled the flowers are on his back and in him. Let them teach you, the hag had answered. It was too painful. He took any hole he could find. Went for the skin there. Loved to watch hips forming around the worlds, and sewed she fell, was falling, and always singing something, and it was sewed, so our father, who arts in thieving, who don't speak, who grew those prize 8 ills, could raise a son of his own. Lilith of the early monikers. And so near the fierce rest, whole body nod, the opposite of a dive, her odd ministering angles from on top, he's wood in her. They look from a certain perspective like a snail. What is all this, he shouts. How about like this? Shouting stars flare there, what noise? Speaking in symbols and wonder-grand caverns. The moan spins enormous, her legs hallelujah, flat on her back, a mother unborn when needs point up. He's between her legs, now it's like he got wings. No, 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 she exclaimed, struck out, unwittingly broke his noose. My museum, he wept. This is the last one. The unconscious gaping voluble. I will not genuflect, I will cog jam you fucked, light hill Jean you flecked, just do it because you're worth it, joust die you shit, because you're whore, the it, juice do lit, beach, Oz, our whirl, thick, heavy with the season, I don't want to give myself, having with the surf, sun, I denote, rant to glint myself, heaving with the sea, sunlight do not tree gleam myself. Thanks.